Hello, Elizabeth, Dr. E. Carter here. So excited for our conversation today about how you can elevate your value by mastering critical competencies. First, I want you to think about this question. How do you define success at work? Now, I think that this answer changes generationally. Early on, success was about money because we needed money to live. Ultimately, to have the necessities, a little spending money, a car, food, place to live, money. But then it started to shift. It was about the fringe benefits, the health insurance, the bonus program, the parking, where you sat, the commute. Then, as you moved further in your career, it was about what floor you sat on, because you knew the higher the floor, the higher you were in the food chain. Now, not everyone needs money to be fulfilled, and success can mean something different to every single person. It could be that success to you is having a C-suite title. Success to you may be having a team that is providing great value, innovative ideas, creating brand new things, changing the world. That may be success. For others, success may just be retiring and having that sense of comfort that you have enough money to sustain you until such time that you are no longer with us. But regardless of what that is, there are ways in which we achieve success. And no matter what our outcome will be and whatever we desire it to be, there are still the same steps that you have to go through between here and getting to there. And that is our conversation today. We are talking about the competencies that will allow you to be successful. There are several, but I'm only going to talk about 3 today. And I want you to grab your pen and paper, because this is always a note-taking, thought-provoking session with Dr. E. Because at the end, and while I'm talking, I want you to think about, are you doing the activities that encompass these competencies? And what I will tell you is that the couple of competencies, well, the 3 I will share with you today, are the ones that when you're moving up in your career, those are the key competencies companies look for, but they don't teach you that in the early stages of your career. They want you to have achieved all this information by, who knows, because they don't train you on it, but I want to help you know what you need to know now so that you're ready for the future. And the takeaways will be, based on the competencies I share, you'll pick one to focus on for the next 30 days. They say behavior happens and changes in behaviors occur when you just take a small step, make small changes, but be consistent with it. Then it will become a habit. And actually, my last sentence here is cut off, develop an action plan for change in the future. All right. So what do you think the critical competencies are that a person should exhibit? And as you're writing your list, I want to talk to you a little bit more about me. I am Dr. Elizabeth Carter, and I considered myself in my early days of my career a career drifter. I had always wanted to be a lawyer when I was growing up. But when I got to undergraduate school and went in as pre-law, I realized that that wasn't going to be in my future. I failed my pre-law course. I wasn't good in history. I wasn't a good writer. All the elements that a lawyer really needs to have. So I shed that dream, and I was a drifter for a while, trying to figure out what should I be doing. And I found my way into insurance through, people are going to laugh, an ad in the newspaper. Yes, back in the day, there was no ZipRecruiter, all these platforms to find jobs. No, it was the newspaper. But anyway, I got my career started from an ad in the newspaper, being in the finance department for an insurance company, and has been very good to me. I have gone ahead and earned several designations in the insurance industry. I continued my formal education, getting a master's degree, actually 2 master's degrees and a PhD. I love being involved in Toastmasters, a communication and leadership organization. It has helped me gain confidence in speaking and even being able to do these types of trainings and workshops and stage presentations. It has been phenomenal. The 25 years have been great for me in the insurance industry. I started as an associate analyst, and slowly, and I say slowly because it was a struggle to get to where I am, which is a corporate executive for an insurance company. I'm also an author, speaker, and trainer. And the reason why I tell you all that is because success for me early on was about trying to climb that ladder. And it was successful and stressful. And now with my company Appeal, I am yearning to empower other professionals to move faster than I did and with less stress. We often feel mute, unheard, invisible, not valued. My job is to allow you to be seen, heard, and valued, no matter what corporation you work for. So, have you thought about your list of those competencies? All right, keep thinking, because I want to share with you the day that my life changed and why I started my company. As I mentioned, I empower people now to be more vocal, visible, and valued. I was working in an organization where I thought I was being valued, but I was waiting to get promoted, waiting. When I thought my day was coming to get that grand promotion, I ended up getting terminated. And I realized, in talking about being elevated, the only things that were elevated were my cholesterol, my blood pressure, and my weight. I had let the job overtake who I was. I thought I knew all the competencies. I thought I knew what I had to do. I was loyal to the company, and what they did to me was devastating. And I said to myself, never again. And I enlisted a coach. We worked through what skills and competencies I needed to work at. And I was able to secure a new job, which is where I am now, which has since elevated me to my next step. Now, again, today, my definition of success is not about money. It is about knowing that I'm leaving a legacy, knowing that I have changed someone else's life through my work in the organization and who I serve, and with my company, because we all have a space and place in life. We just need to know where it is. I had given my life basically to corporate. I had to reclaim that and say, I am doing things for me. I may work at will for the organization, but I know what I'm learning, I can always take with me. And never forget that you're working for you. You're not working for the company. You are providing them information, value, experience, education, but You own all that. That is your own collateral. And again, that day my life changed. I picked myself up. I said, no more. And I said, I will work for me and always put myself first and know what success looks like. So my question to you is, now, as you finish writing, what does success look like for you? And more importantly, what are the critical competencies? And I first said, you think you should exist, but now it really is the competencies you must exist. And what I'm seeing over time, being pushing almost 30 years working in corporate, is that some of those competencies that were needed 30 years ago have now shifted. So you have to ensure that you remain, I always talk about this, remain relevant as the environment shifts, as the culture shifts, as the skill sets and knowledge needed shifts. You have to be ready. So these are the 8 key competencies, and we can debate the phraseology, the terminology, whether or not there's a prioritization of these 8. There's no priority. So Indeed.com said, when job hunters and job recruiters are working with people on their resume, these are the areas that they want to showcase for an individual so that the company understands who they're getting and what value the person can add. Let's just first talk basically about the definitions. First of all, strategic thinking. That is the ability to think ahead and develop plans and achieve goals. Agility or adaptability, again, there's several different ways to say it. That's the ability to adapt to change and new situations. Okay, so raise your hand if you haven't been through change in the last 30, 60, 90 days. I think everybody, everywhere is experiencing some type of change. And some change sounds good, looks good. Sometimes it doesn't look good or feel good. But we have to be in that same space, resilient, and be able to bounce back from any setback and challenges. Problem solving, being able to identify and solve problems effectively. Now, I know that we love finding problems or identifying problems or talking about problems. The piece is the solving. I always talk to employees about, don't come with a problem, come with a solution. Collaboration, otherwise known as teamwork, the ability to work together effectively with others to achieve a common goal. And we know teams are no longer solo individual teams. The teams now are probably bigger than we would like because we're trying to ensure that we have all the collective thinking, skill set, subject matter experts, people who know things have to be in the room. Communication, the ability to communicate effectively, both verbally and in writing. Self-management, being able to manage one's time, workload, and emotions effectively. Continuous improvement, the ability to increase one's knowledge and understanding so that you remain relevant. That means if you need to take a quick course online, sit through an hour training by some internal or external organization, do it. And lastly, leading of others, being able to motivate and inspire others to achieve goals. Now, I always tell people there are certain people who lead and people follow because they have to, or because that person gives them a paycheck. A true leader can lead others because of who they are and what they do and what they stand for. And people will follow them even for free. That is a true leader. Now, those are the competencies. Now, I'm only going to talk about 3 of them: strategic thinking, collaboration, and communication. But if you either go to my website, www.eacappeal.com, and you can go to contact us and ask me for the rest, or you can go to Instagram, my Instagram handle at EAC Appeal, and DM the word competencies, and I will send you the list with all the definitions and the details for the other competencies that we won't talk about today. And I picked these 3 because, again, I mentioned these are the 3 I would say are not necessarily taught to early career individuals. You're somehow supposed to obtain these skills by, I don't know, on your own. So I want to be able to empower you to be ahead of being told, well, you don't have this, you don't have that, you need to do more of that, because that's what happens a lot. A person is pursuing the next level, the next role, a totally different industry, and they are told there is some aspect of these 3 that they have not yet exhibited. So I want to share with you what that looks like so that you can go ahead and start to change your behaviors in order to work on these skills. First, strategic thinking. Now, growing up, my dad taught my brother and I chess. And I really didn't realize, or, I was like, why are we learning chess? But of course, you oblige your parents and go ahead and learn. And of course, the goal is always to beat the master. My brother and I's goal was to beat dad. I think I did eventually. But it wasn't until later on in life that I realized why he taught us chess. The main part of chess is being able to think about what your opponent is going to do next and be well ahead of that. So really, how are you thinking 3, 4, 5, 6 steps ahead so that you can then help inform what's going on today? So when we think about the elements of strategic thinking, and the reason why we don't learn that early in our career is because we're pretty much trying to learn the job that we have at hand. We're given a set of responsibilities and we're given some deadlines and saying, hey, every month, and I'm in finance, so it's the same thing. Every month end close. Here's the reports, get the reports out, do the analysis, have the meetings, find out what's going on, and then rinse and repeat. There was not really a time to think about the future because we were so concerned about what was happening in the now. So what I would say to you is, first of all, ensure that you understand the big picture. And some companies have multi-layers that where you sit, you may not even know what the big picture is. So it really is asking questions. Understanding what the vision and mission is of the organization, or at least understanding what are the key goals for the year. That's usually shared on a quarterly basis so that you can at least see the metrics, what's important, how well the team is doing, and you can then think about how your role impacts those results. But you have to understand the big picture. And that may mean having a conversation with your leader, or maybe even your leader's leader. And it's not as if you are stepping on toes. You can just say, I just want to understand how my work impacts the bigger picture. Second is synthesizing long-term trends. Again, that comes from being very aware of the past, how it informs the future. Also, being involved in research and knowing what's happening in the environment, in the industry, in the world, because similarly, that may be a suggestion that you may have with the company about something new that they could be doing. Last is actions that ensure competitive advantage. Every company has a competitor. And you may know who they are because they're probably spoken about all the time, or you may not know who they are. But you absolutely want to stay abreast of what they're doing, their results. Similarly, they may report their results publicly. Quite often, there is someone inside your organization who's collecting all that data and be able to say, okay, here's what company XYZ is doing. What are we doing to be ahead of them, better than them, or doing something even more, elaborate than them? So think about how often you take the time to think strategically. And also, if your answer is not often, what else can you be doing differently to think about it more often? Second is collaboration. And I consider myself a connector. I find that I'm better at connecting other people to each other than I am connecting myself to others. I think that's just because I'm a servant leader and I love serving others, and I totally neglect myself, which is not good. But the connections are very important. I tell people that you are one conversation away from your next opportunity. You're pretty much one conversation away from a lot of things. We just need to understand how we all work together. First is about fostering cooperation and teamwork. And the cooperation is critical. And it's okay to agree to disagree. We sometimes get caught up in being part of the yes team. Whatever they said, yes, yes, let's go do it. Yes, yes, yes. And no one ever challenges the yes. And we have to be free and confident to raise a hand and just ask a question. Say, hey, you know what? I just have a question about what we are getting ready to do. And based on your strategic thinking, you may have something that is enlightening that may cause the team to say, oh, what a good point. That's the element of the collaboration and being part of a team. Second is the cultivating relationships. A lot of times, the magic happens in the relationship. You will find that you may not be the best at something or even the second best, but because you have relationships and people know, like, and trust you, they will work with you. They will bring you along. They will ask you your insight and your input. That is where collaboration really is key. And we talk constantly about diversity of thought. That is truly an element of cultivating relationships and collaboration. Because with all of that, you need to be able to create influence and impact. I tell people, we talk about, and we'll get to communication in a minute, when you talk, you want people to listen. People want to be able to know what you're thinking. I am very quiet when I'm in meetings because I'm a great listener, and I will add value when I think it is needed. But sometimes somebody may say, hey, Elizabeth, you've been kind of quiet. What are you thinking? And I make sure I have something ready. But I love that because they respect my opinion, and clearly they know I'm thinking about something but haven't yet expressed my opinion. But I would say collaboration is key, and how we articulate how we have collaborated is so important, because companies are all about teamwork and collaboration. They are realizing that the essence of a team is not a solo person, it is the combination of all parties coming together and putting forth a great work product. Third and last is communication. And again, I mentioned earlier, this is about communicating both in written and oral form. Number one, presenting your ideas clearly and concisely. When we talk about attention spans, I think the higher you go, the shorter it is. when we are presenting information, we have to make sure we get to the point very quickly. And we have to, I always tell people, you have to understand the hot spot of the people in the room. If you're in a room with people from the marketing department, you want to hit the marketing terms and phraseologies that will make them stand up and listen. Second, convey information verbally or in writing. I find that because we are so technology oriented now, we've lost a little bit of that formality in both verbally and writing. We love using code words, acronyms, emojis, hashtags. We really need to get back to understanding the English language, both written and verbally, because the way in which we say something and how we say it makes a difference. Third, open, honest, and straightforward. Now, I know sometimes that is challenging because no one wants to be the bearer of bad news. And I know that for sure because I'm a finance person. Finance people rarely have good news. I would say I've gotten used to it. There are many meetings where we are sharing information and the results may not be what we thought it would be. And the honesty comes into play where, regardless of whose feelings might get hurt, we have to let them know what is going on, because it could get better or it could get worse. And as forthcoming as we can be with the information based on what we know, what we see, strategically thinking about the future, if we can help the team be proactive in making change, oh my God, that is phenomenal. But we have to get comfortable about that. Some of this communication piece is about having confidence. If you're not feeling confident, then what happens is your voice starts shaking, your hands may even be shaking, you look nervous, then you're losing the credibility of your work in the eyes of those who are looking at you. So that is ultimately the key to communication. So those were the three I wanted to reflect on: strategic thinking, collaboration, and communication. I know for me, I love the strategic thinking piece because that allows me to ask questions to make other people think. And I may not have all the details about what the project is or what the team I'm talking to does, but as an outsider, I am letting them know, hey, if I was not entrenched in the detail like you were, here'd be my question. And that's been very helpful for others to really make sure that what they're working on is the right thing, they are making the right decisions, or there may need to be a change. And that comes from both being a collaborative environment and communicating well. So what I want you to do, and you can again make notes and think about this later, from those three areas, strategic thinking, collaboration, and communication, think about what you have done in that space. So the first one says, think about a situation where you displayed strategic thinking. Second, write down an event where you were part of a group, there was a lot of collaboration, and it went well. Now, well meaning the outcome went well. I won't say that it went well the whole time through. I'm sure there would be disagreements, arguments, timeline changes, all the inner workings is fine. But at the end, it all worked out well. And third, write down one of your strengths in communication. Are you one who's very open? Are you one who's very clear when sharing information? So think about your strengths. We always want to think about the areas that we are excelling in. Now, when you're writing the answers to those three questions, you'll determine that, hey, that was pretty easy. I knew a situation that I really did well in collaborating. Or I don't know that I've done a lot of strategic thinking so far because I haven't necessarily thought about it, or maybe I'm not in that type of situation today. From there, you could determine which competency you would like to work on immediately. And again, if you go to my Instagram, EAC Appeal, it's 2 A's, 2 P's, EAL, and DM the word competencies, I will send you the information about these 3 and the other 5. So if you really want to get elaborate, and maybe these 3, you're like, oh, I'm good, but maybe that's agility, I need some work, or leading others, I need some work. So the information in this list will allow you to look at the same areas and same 3 characteristics of the competency, and you can do the same reflection. Now, I'm always about the takeaways. Once you have done the reflection, you've chosen which competency you're going to work on. Now, here comes the behavior and the habit change. In the next 30 days, think about what you will do differently and keep track of it. And you can say, you know what, every day I'm going to ask a question that is more strategically oriented and not transactionally oriented. Or I will raise my hand and ask a question in the next 5 meetings, or every single day I will ask a question. So set some goals for yourself and keep track of how it's going. You will see change in yourself, as will others. And you will start to become that person who will have all those right competencies and can articulate them when you're starting to talk about what you want next in your career. So that was our lessons for today. That was our great conversation about critical competencies. I talked about 3 of them: strategic thinking, collaboration, and communication. I have now given you an assignment to reflect on those and the others. Again, you can DM the word competencies to me via Instagram and set yourself up to elevate by focusing on one to improve on and create that plan for change. This was Elizabeth Dr. E. Carter with Elevate Your Value by Mastering Critical Competencies. Please feel free to reach out to me. You can visit my website, EAC-Appeal, that's 2 A's, 2 P's, EAL.com, or send me an email at info@drelizabethcarter.com. This QR code here will take you to my standard free gift, which is another checklist about elevating your value. You can follow me on LinkedIn via my personal page or my business page. I thank you so much for joining me here and being able to elevate your value. I hope you found this useful, and I look forward to seeing you soon.